Hello, thank you for joining us at Lake Region TV. We're here today to give an informational presentation on regular scheduled bus service. Many of you have heard or read about the proposal to bring bus service to the Lakes region, but what you may not know is that it won't happen without your support. Here to discuss the project is David Willauer, Project Director with the Greater Portland Council of Government, and Keith Luke, the Economic Development Director for the town of Windham, and I'm Lisa Villa, Selectman for the town of Harrison. Bus service is a topic that isn't new. In fact, this is something that has been studied since the early 1990s. And no one has been more involved in Lake Region transportation issues than Dave Willauer. Dave?
Thank you, Lisa. We've been working with the Lakes Region towns for the past 5 years about transportation issues, and in particular, transportation issues as they relate to highway construction, bridge construction, and now transit service. And due to some of the difficulties in funding highway and bridge projects, Lakes Region town managers came to us, the Greater Portland Council of Governments, and said, what can you do to help with bus service? And we've been discussing that for the past year with Lakes Region representatives. And today I have a brief presentation to share with you and our listeners on the service.
Thank you.
I've been going town by town to discuss this with selectmen, councilors, and town managers. And in the last 6 months, I've visited more than half the towns in the Lakes region. Just 2 nights ago, I was in Standish, for example. The Lakes region can be considered the area from Bridgeton and Harrison into Portland. In 2001, we published a planning study to study Windham to Portland bus service and concluded that it was worth pursuing, but the funding wasn't in place at that time. In the Lakes region, we believe that there's a big community need for bus service, that there's an opportunity to help seniors remain independent, to help low-income families get to work, and to reduce traffic congestion on Route 302. We've developed schemes for figuring out how to fund this service in the long term, and one of the ways we've come up with this is to look at 2 federal funding sources and then some local funds. The federal funds are the Community Development Block Grant Program, the Job Access and Reverse Commute Program, and the local funds would be municipal funds from municipalities. The Job Access and Reverse Commute Funds, or JARC, total $100,000. The town contributions would be $50,000 spread between 12 towns, and then the fare box, where the cost of the fare would be an additional $24,500. So the total cost of this service that we're proposing for an annual operation is $174,500. This is for operating 1 bus back and forth from Bridgeton to Harrison, weekdays only, for the year. And what we've done is begin this process last year with the award of CDBG funds to the town of Windham. $49,500 were awarded to Windham on behalf of the Lakes Region towns for this service. That sort of got us started, if you will. These funds must be used for fare passes and brochures and things like that. They're not to be used for the operating costs. And we're proposing that this bus travel along primarily Route 302. Because 302 does experience a lot of congestion in the early morning and afternoon commuter hours, we're also looking at the possibility of going over to exit 63 in Gray and going into Portland by way of the Turnpike. Many people do this in the summer and often to get to the Lakes region. Gray and exit 63 has become almost a gateway to the Lakes region. Here's a little bit about operating costs. Basically, you pay for the labor to operate a bus is how it works. We're proposing a 9.5-hour day with some time off during the middle of the day for the driver to get a break. We're proposing that this is a $75 an hour operation, and that could be more or less depending on the type of vehicle employed. This is how we get to the operating costs. And here's a proposed schedule. This is not cast in stone. This is simply a look at what we're aiming to do, and it would be adjusted accordingly. 6:30 departure in Bridgeton would get you into Portland by 10 minutes of 8 with stops in towns along the way. And the number of stops along the way will depend largely on which towns wish to participate. Generally speaking, if towns don't contribute to the bus service, we wouldn't be stopping in that town. 2 inbound runs and an outbound run in the morning. The bus would be off during the middle of the day. And then if you read from right to left on this schedule, you'll see that a 2 o'clock departure in Portland in the afternoon would get you back to Bridgeton by 3:20, or you could depart at 4:50 and get back at 5 o'clock and get back by 6:20. So we're trying to appeal to commuters, we're trying to appeal to people shopping, we're trying to appeal to a broad audience, and this schedule hopefully will reflect that. The fares for this service would be $3 for a one-way fare is what we're proposing from the town of Gray, for example, $4 fare from Windham, and a $5 fare from Bridgeton, to give you an idea of the range of fares for a one-way trip. We're hoping that people will take advantage of a monthly pass, and we're proposing anywhere between $30 and $50 for a one-way monthly pass, depending on how far out you live. And these are just some costs to give you an idea of what we're looking at, and they're certainly going to be revised as we get into the service, because we want this to be affordable for people. Because of the CDBG funds, seniors would ride for free, and persons with disabilities would also ride for free. The service would be managed by Metro. Metro is the bus company in Portland that would contract with a private operator, because the coach-style bus that we're looking toward using is not a city bus. So you may have been wondering what type of bus we're talking about. We're talking about a coach-style bus. It would be comfortable. It would have forward-facing seats. It would be air-conditioned. It would likely have Wi-Fi, internet service. So if you want to do a little bit of work on your way to work or from work, or you want to check your files, you can do so. The member towns are the towns that are directly served by the bus. So we have member towns and we have contributing towns. And I'll explain this with this map. The member towns would be the towns directly served by the bus service. And they would include Bridgeton and Harrison, Naples, Casco, Raymond, Windham, Gray, and Falmouth in this scenario. The contributing towns would be towns outside the member towns, and they would be contributing an amount as well. We're hoping that contributing towns would pay something into the service as well, but they shouldn't be paying as much because they're not directly